there's other organizations like OCB and them, but those organizations I think don't have, as I would say, deeper pockets compared to the IFB and NPC, because and then the cost of for the competitors, because Paula Ranta, who just did the Pittsburgh Pro, she gets $10,000. Now $10,000 for any of us, that's not such a change, because that's enough to cover whatever. So like I say, I get about maybe I might get I might make about with my Social Security about 14,000 a year, and just cover my rent and food and like that. And I thank God I don't own a car. No, not anymore. I mean, my sister and my niece let me borrow their trucks every now and then if I need to do something, because price of gas. I know where I'm at is already leased at $4, and with both Alex and David, they live also down south, and our gas is a little cheaper, but still expensive compared to the standard. And Jeremy, where he's at, I know gas is cheaper. In New York, oh my God. But y'all don't drive much as compared as we do in the country. But gentlemen, I want to get your points. What do you think could be a way for a form of pay for competitors?
I was curious if y'all know have the ladies ever tried to do like a labor union type thing? Because if they're professionals, why not unionize or attempt to do a little collective bargaining? Has that ever been attempted or talked about?
As far as the men go, supposedly they have. I know Lee Priest for years tried to organize the men into a union so that they could get something, or he talked about it at least all the time. But I think, if I remember correctly, they've made it very, very clear they will not recognize a union. They flat out won't recognize one. And so I would only assume that the same thing would be true for the women. But yeah, I have seen stuff like that. And it's I decided to look just at some other organizations as to what the women are getting. The WNBA apparently, in response to what you're saying, David, they apparently had collective bargaining agreement in which now, get this, the WNBA, if you're starting off with 0 years of experience, $270,000 per year to start. And then also I looked up women's pro soccer, their average base salary is like $50,000. And in bodybuilding, $50,000 would go a long way for a base salary. But it's also, it's you look at all of the other divisions that we have now, and you look at them, how they're just handing out pro cards right and left, like they're almost practical candy. It's could they even do so? I mean, the sheer amount of money that they would need to be even the small base salary would be huge. Because of just how many people they have now who are just IFBB pros, not just in the women's side, but period. Because I mean, if you were going to negotiate something like that, it would have to be everyone.
Yeah,
all the fit model pros, all the bikini pros, all the wellness pros. And that's a huge number right there. That doesn't include figure, fitness, physique, or bodybuilding on the men's side. So the amount of money they would have to shell out for this would be enormous. But that's why I question, it's if the money is all one way, and it is, that it's coming from the competitors to the organization, and very little is coming back, except in terms of prize money. Can they call themselves a professional league? If the overwhelming majority of competitors aren't making anything, that they flat out can't make a profession? Especially when you consider other women's organizations, they're making a lot more money. It's like I said before, in these other organizations, you're paid in dollars and cents, but in the women's side of bodybuilding, you're paid in jack and squat, except for prize money. So I honestly don't know what can be done. I mean, unless fans out there who are loaded, and some of the guys out there are loaded, start stepping up and increasing prize money, and then also expanding it so it's not just the top 6, but like the top 10, that somebody makes something from it. Like, I honestly don't know what can be done.
Because one thing they do have a while back, I think we mentioned this, that the IFB started its clothing line. So you start this clothing line. What is this money going towards?
Right.
You know, is it going towards the athletes? Is it going towards promoters to cover the cost of sanction fees and prize money? I mean, and also the athletes have to pay to play, because you know, if you do, like, good example, like if you're a master competitor, you will have to pay to compete in multiple classes in a division. You can do multiple divisions. Like one lady who have had a guest on, Ann Gruber, she did both women's physique and women's bodybuilding at the Puerto Rico Pro. I know some ladies who done that before. I remember Robin Mays did that a couple of years ago, where she was at the World Championships in Pittsburgh, where she did both women's bodybuilding and women's physique. This is something I pulled up, and it's a gentleman that actually David interviewed his wife some time ago. One Mr. Brian Swanson, his wife, the lovely Autumn Swanson, and he talks about this. Where
I've seen this too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's something I pull up here, and you know, here we go. We pull this up. You say it.
You have your IPD Pro card, which I just paid for mine. Obviously, I paid for links like $250, $275 in Pro cards. You have hotel expenses. So I think our hotel Thursday, and we leave on Monday, we are at about $900 in hotel fees. If we weren't sponsored by Protein, that would be about $250 each for a tan. You have the hair and makeup done, that's about another $500. On top of that, a rental car, unless you get an Uber, a rental car is about another $400 to $500 for, 4 or 5 days, about $100 a day. Airfare, our airfare to Toronto from Chicago was about $1,000 total. But I mean, those are just some of the expenses just to get to the show.
I'm getting anxiety talking
Then
about
we have to talk about food. So groceries per week without supplements, just grocery store, about $400 a
I was
week.
gonna say 500. Yeah.
And we even talked about supplements. So it gets nuts. Whatever.
Yeah, you can watch. You can go to their. It's on Muscle and Strength. You can go to that site. You can see the whole video. You want to check it out. It's on YouTube, and that's a good point, because think about with him. Shout out to Brian. He just recovered some surgery a while back. His wife is now Olympia and Master Olympia qualified, and with the men, they do have their costs, but for them, only thing they have to pay for is banana hammock, a pair of board shorts, and tan, and you just put some jelly here or shave head ball. But for the women, show day is the biggest expense. Like I interviewed a young lady just yesterday where she talked about how because that's Alwyn Hopkins. She was wearing a nice little wig, but she usually sometimes competes bald, and she doesn't wear about expense, but still hair, makeup, jewelry, the tan. They also do a little gluing to your suit, so I think they might even charge for that. So and these companies who put in money to these shows, some of these are billion-dollar companies. So don't they think they would want to invest also into athletes, because there are these shows are put on their brand. Like I think David mentioned during the Pittsburgh Pro, they had an advertisement. What was the advertisement you talked about?
Oh, it was for a defense attorney. It was like mutant, and then the next one was like, if you need an attorney, call me. It just kind of like seemed a little out of place compared to the other mutant ads, but it was kind of funny too. It kind of stood out.
No, wait, was this ad at the show?
This was at Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was before I think it was before prejudging or before finals, actually. I think it was. And
Okay.
yeah, just seemed a little out of place. It was funny though. I liked it.
Those one of those ambulance chasers. Like we have him around here. They come on every so often between infomercials and whatever's on TV. Talking about getting you, like there's one I think show where this guy talking about he gets hit by a fat e-board tire salesman. So why does brother have to be fat? So and they advertise everywhere. I mean, this guy, I think if you ever heard of him, Akin Ascapulo, he pops on every so often. He used to have a talk show where he was a judge. He called Stream Key. This is also I found out while I was sitting here and I listened to albums that Cornhole, professional cornhole players. Typical earning is between 5,000 to 60,000 per year. Elite players can earn $100,000 or more annually, with the income primarily generated through tournament prize purses, jersey sponsorships, and brand endorsements. And you got to think about it. These are a bunch of guys throwing a beanbag in a hole.
And it's sponsored by Johnsonville, so they probably get like a lifetime supply of Johnsonville Franks or something like that, you know.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody on Saturday, and they do natural bodybuilding, and she do what's the barrel horse racing or something like that. Barrel racing. Barrel racing, yeah. And she told me that she gets more doing barrel racing than in bodybuilding. And she's not a pro yet, but yeah, she's trying to. She was talking long, but she was basically telling me that for her to like get the expenses together, she had to people had to support her, people that she know from work, they donated money. So
yeah, that I remember Amanda Snooks, who was a pro, but I don't think she's done pro debut yet, has she? Or maybe she did, but she did barrel racing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But I mentioned in his live, I was listening to because she did barrel racing back in the day. I said, yeah, Amanda. She's also the lady that interviewed Miss Ann. She's from Canada too, so pointed that out. But yeah, again, this is where we go to the shows and buy the tickets and this that. They still, the prize money is not much. You can get top threes, like with the Pittsburgh Pro. I think altogether prize money was over $400,000. But a good amount of it is going to go to the men's division because they're going to get at least about, I think it was we added to the Pittsburgh Pro last year. It was 100,000. And I remember one year when Natalia competed. That was the year when Sarah was putting up some prize money for shows, and she gave out $20,000. That was, I think, and that's a good chunk of change, Or remember with the Rising Phoenix, they were giving out $50,000 for first place, plus a car. Then there was a little incentive, so you get best poser, best video, most muscular. That was like $2,000 or $3,000 there. And also they should do these little incentives too, where they pay for you, give you a per diem, give you a little money on the side for coming. They pay for your photo session. You get photo sessions for free because you have to pay for photo sessions. And also little stuff here and there. That's the thing that really helped. But then, as you know, Jake is focused on the Olympia. And it takes a lot of money to get that show together. Even though when you have a lot of big advertisers backing it, it's still, I think when both Jeremy and David and Alex went to Olympia, what was for you your expenses? Because we'll go with Alex and hear him talk more lately.
Oh yeah, I remember how much it cost me to get there by plane, especially as last year's decision. It was, eventually I took a payment plan. It took a while for everything to get paid up. I had some little help here and there, but yeah, it was. Sometimes it started plan to go to a contest accordingly under your income and budget and such. I do my best, to show my support either way, and work what's best for me. I just, it was something I wanted to do, and for the most part, it was a good time. I just, there were a bit of consequences, the outcome, what I had to expect, and yeah, amazing how things get pricey so fast. You should see how fast how expensive the VIP experiences are gone fast already.
Mm-hmm. David?
Yeah, it definitely is expensive to go to Vegas these days. One thing that it kind of impacts me because Spirit doesn't exist anymore, but there was nonstop Spirit flights from Tampa to Las Vegas, and I used to take that, save some money. And now they don't even, they're not even running anymore. And to save costs on hotel, I stayed at the Circus, which is kind of next door to the Resorts World, because Resorts World is very expensive. And Circus is probably one of the cheapest on the Strip, but it's not luxurious. It's kind of a little bit shitty kind of thing and kind of old, but at least, kind of kept my costs down too. Yeah, traveling to Vegas or traveling to any show, gosh. I'm thinking about a range, probably anywhere from 500 to 1,000 to go to a show and cover, cover all your expenses, maybe sometimes a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. Like with me, I remember when I went to Tampa and David, he drew me around a couple places, picked me up, but then I still had to get an Uber because, he was busy, he was doing stuff and getting ready for stuff. And I got an Uber and that was expense right there. This place I stayed at, I think it was altogether maybe a little about $300, but it was like one of those city stays. So, I wish I had some pasta stuff I can cook, but I didn't. You could have to take all that. I also took a train, but here's one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to make it a round trip, so I had to buy a ticket to get back. So to North Carolina, and I was planning on jumping on a plane this year. I was gonna get myself a real ID, but then, as you know, the price have soared on plane costs with barely the cost of fuel being expensive, and these companies have to make up for that gain. So they'll put it onto the ticket buyers. And plus, with me, I'm a bigger dude. Some of those airports will charge you for extra seat. I saw a thing with a brother who was like he was 700 pounds. He dropped down to 500 pounds, and he told a story how he got on a plane. Then he had to charge for another seat. Then because they put him in his seats together, he had to really change the whole thing. He had to change his whole flight plan, midway through. So they set him up. But that's expensive. That's why I said I'm going to this next show coming up. I'm going by train again. The last time I took a train was that I had to wait 5-6 hours for a transfer there and back. But with this one, I'm looking and researching. It's a straight shot. It's going to take me at least pretty much about a day, but it saves you a few bucks. It's like maybe at least over $100.
My experience when I was traveling to go to shows, I would try to look for the Staybridge suites that were in the area. And the reason being is because those all have kitchens. They all
those are nice.
There, and it's like, yeah, exactly. I mean, the price was reasonable. If you went to like Priceline or Hotels.com or something like that to try and see if you could save money that way, because I found some really good deals. But if you want to save some money, I mean, going to a Staybridge, then if you want to eat, you don't have to eat out all the time. You could actually go to like a grocery store, buy your own food, and then be able to save some money that way if you're heading to shows. So
yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I actually did that at New York Pro because they had a fridge there. I didn't have like place to cook, but I did just collect a bunch of food and make sandwiches and stuff and like fruit and veggies and stuff. And I just ate there at the room mostly just to save money on the expenses for the restaurants or whatever. And there really wasn't any restaurants within walking distance except for at the Marriott, and it was very expensive too. So yeah, that's not a bad idea. I actually we actually have Abby Lopez in the comments. I wonder if she would join in.
Well,
She's awesome.
Abby Lopez. Oh, we hadn't seen Abby in a long time. I hadn't been. We was discussing. I hadn't looked at the comment section. Here we have in the comment section we have here. Shout out to Paul Grice Shop. He said, he says get Billie Jean King. She's always fought for women's sports. She may not fight for women's bodybuilding. Shout out to our brother here, Josh Simpkins. He says, "What's good, George and Empire Nation? Sorry I can't be on the podcast today. I'm at work." That's all right, brother. Also, shout out to him. He says, will say the women's division should pay a little bit more, specifically shows like the New York Pro and the Pittsburgh Pro. And even if they do guest pose, they should get paid for that as well. I think they do pay for guest posing because they're gonna have to do it for free. We have here from my man Ryan Lake. He says, Hello, David. Also,
Hello.
Ryan says this. He says, David, I like your interviews with Hayden Mola. I interviewed Hayden. You like my interview with her too?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
awesome. I like her.
Yeah. I wonder if she's gonna be making a pro debut. She has, potential. Also, we have here. Shout out to he says, "Hello, brothers. Happy Monday." And here we have here. He says, "This is from Abby Lopez." Says, "Hey guys." It says, She says, "Hey, we love Stay Bridge." Yeah, shout out to Abby. Now, Abby just did a show over the weekend. John Simmons show, her husband gets some guest posing. So you want to go to Abby's IG and check it out. And also a friend, Melissa Freeman, also competed at that show. We also have here from a man, Sean McMillan says, "Good afternoon." Thank you, brother. Good afternoon to you. And we have here to you, Abby. If Abby got a chance you want to jump on, we can use some ladies here. There's a lot of guys. We can make this a little fun. And he says, "Hello, Abby Lopez, everyone on the chat as well." Oh, thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate that. So this is something I also saw, and this is one thing people forget, that the guys, they do have their expenses, but they also have a way. Some guys try to make a way for themselves. I saw this. This is a while back. I saw it on the IG, and it's a point somebody makes about how the men had to go through some things. Now, people think about women go through a lot, but guys go through something too. So
posing for a guy in a hotel room, getting paid a couple $1,000s. I mean, you're posing on stage, so everybody in bodybuilding has done gays for pay. If you got money from Joe Weider, that's gay. Bodybuilding is full of gays. Gays are everywhere. If you're going to dinner with a fan, most likely they're gay. So that's gay for pay. If you're getting your thing, that is gay. Yes, that it would be considered
for me, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't discriminate against any, sexuality, preference, whatever. Here's the thing. I never lost any of my the gay community's fan. I have a huge fan base like that, right?
You lose most.
I didn't lose my fans, especially in New York. But when you come to me with with Melvin, I would like to. This happened to me in New York. I'll never forget it. I'd like for you to come to my abode. I said, what? And he said, I'm gonna have some comrades, some people in my area of expertise at my home, and I would like for you to come and display. I said, display what? No, Milo see the dude, the arm ran away. Yeah, he 10 grand. 10 grand. I was like, to do what? To pose for your friends at your abode. I said, I'm good. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So then he asked me, he said, what's it? There's another favorite we have is Lee Priest. I gave him Lee Priest's room number. I said, call Lee if you want Lee to do it. Lee was laughing at me. He's like, man, you sent that fool to my room. I was like, I'm not gonna do it,
You don't know how many free vacations I got, but I would say, hey, can my fiance come with me? And they're like, yeah, they were cool with it. Me and my fiance at the time, we got so many badass vacations, Hawaii 3 times with the same dude, and then I just have to go to dinner with them a couple times. Posing for a guy.
Yeah, and that's one thing.
So it's like the opposite of the women bodybuilders with the schmoes. So like the gay guys are the schmoes.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Because there is people like this. Shout out to happy belated birthday to my big brother, Mr. Big Keith Williams. We will have him on here, but I saw he celebrated his birthday in Vegas. I hope you enjoy your time with your lovely wife. I owe you for touching my girl, but he pointed that out to me a while back. How really much there's a bigger, more than the women, there's a bigger fan base among gay men because he pointed out back in the day, Joe Weider used to, guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbo. We just lost a man who just passed away, Albert Beckles. Back in the day, he was one of those guys that also made money through, Joe Weider sponsoring. He did it with Ron Glass and so many other competitors. He paid for their bodybuilding, but you don't have anybody doing that now. I remember doing an interview with Nancy Lewis. She remembered how she used to make money. She had to worry about anything because she had, covered some of her costs. Well, folks, we got a lady. We got a lady.
All right.
Yeah, it's one woman. So hey, I don't do no sharing. I don't do no sharing, guys. Not to take your turns, but I ain't doing nothing. Hey, Abby, we have here is the lovely Abby. Abby Lopez, and she's right on the Stairmaster. And welcome, ma'am. Thank you for coming through. We really want to get, and we do appreciate the aspect from a woman of the thought of do you think that you as a competitor deserve making a living in this sport, even though it's a hobby sport that you love? You think there should be more lucrative opportunities for y'all competitors?
Oh, for sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous how much the men make compared to women.
Yeah, because Andrew Jack, I think he just did the Pittsburgh Pro this weekend. When he was there, he did the Arnold. You were there. Andrew got $750,000 from that show. Went over to Great Britain and got another $250,000. He just made $1 million within 2 weeks.
Wow, that's crazy.
And
Ridiculous.
yeah, but we all know, and I say this, the men are like this. The men, if you know the pimping game, the men are the bottom bitch. The bottom bitch makes the money for the pimp. You know, Jim Manning, he's the pimp. And and the men's division is the bottom bitch. The women struggle. Like I keep saying, like Andrea being the Miss Olympia, $50,000. It's a good chunk of change, but she's the Miss Olympia. I think she should get at least $100,000, a little more.
Oh,
Even
for
someone like
sure.
Natalia, or even the other divisions. I think at one point they used to give top 10 up to about $50,000 was the bottom for maybe 10th place.
Yeah, and then you also consider it's like the total, like for natural bodybuilding, like the OCB. From what I saw their website, they said their total prize money, and as far as I know, this is men's and women's, is like $450,000 or $300,000, something like that. That is what the winner of the Arnold Classic makes at that one show. So take the entire amount of money that's spent on an entire bodybuilding federation and giving it to one guy at the Arnold Classic. And then also, Linda Murray pointed this out. This guy is getting $450,000 with the existing women's divisions they have. They have $150,000 divided among 18 women. Whereas you have $450,000 going to one guy. To show the disparity there. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
But we all know because the men's bring the attention. So, like, if you look at comparing it to the WNBA to the NBA, right now they're in the middle of their championship season, getting ready for the conference, getting ready for the playoffs, and they make a lot of money. Sometimes it's not just from playing for the league; it's mostly from sponsorship. Michael Jordan, remember, he said do commercials for Gatorade, Ballpark, Nike, so many different brands and labels, and that's where good money comes from. And NFL, I think they're the only ones that don't have a salary cap. I think it's NFL, NBA, not NBA, or Major League Baseball. One of those don't have a salary cap. You can keep as much as you can. Like we talked about before how these guys can take steroids, but no one's going to make an eye about them because they're a bunch of millionaires. I remember one rookie, he was offered for just his first year about, I think it was like $20 million. He just got out of college. And as a prospect, that was a starting. Then you got to go, then once you start making your money, especially if you start winning championships and getting titles and getting endorsements, you can really make a good living. Or, and you look at other sports where even now in college, you get paid. You can make money because some companies would use images on games, like the video games, and use images of the college players. So they say, like, use my image, why not we get paid for it?
Yeah. And it's like one other option, since we were talking about ways people can make money. One is to consider other interests outside of bodybuilding and see about potentially starting a business involving that in the bodybuilding community. Case in point would be Haley and Marcus Perry. She goes by Haley Storm over on IG. I mean, they both have their own business. I think Marcus has got I think he has a construction company, and then I know Haley, I think, works as an RN, but also they both like to cook, And so they started their own spice company. They started their own Perry Spices. And as far as I know, they're marketing that at bodybuilding shows. So one possibility is it may be, as far as competition goes, it may take some time. But instead of taking that $12,000-$15,000, consider for like 1 year, take that money and then invest it in a business, and then enter that business into the bodybuilding community, like what the Perrys have done. And then that's just one example. I know Michelle Brent. She long ago she had Michelle's Magic Morsels because she started a cookie company. As far as I know it very well. Now she and her husband are doing Brent's Bling, which are bodybuilding related jewelry. That she's also marketing that. So that's one possibility, is that it may. I mean, you may have to take a year off to do it, but I mean, to take the money that you otherwise would have accumulated for competition and instead invest that in a business related to an interest of yours outside of bodybuilding and bring that company into the bodybuilding community to be able to make some money. Then you've also got Andrea Sauer, Ripped Vixen. She just posted not too long ago. She is now opening her own personal training studio. And she was looking forward to that. So it's like, that's one possibility, is that take an interest you like, start a business and related to it, and then bring that into the bodybuilding community. That can be a moneymaker. There's no guarantee of success, but it gives you a chance.
And one person I always want to point out is my dear sister. What do you say, Alex?
Well, what about Bad Rep with Eunice and JoJo?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I just got this over the weekend. My Bad Rep towel. I actually ordered a towel and these stickers, and she took and she had it monogrammed my name on it. I feel so special.
Nice.
She gave me a nice little letter, but also I got this with it. She sent it to me. I didn't order this, but a new baseball cap. It's tougher than leather.
Nice.
Look at that. Yeah, I mean, and what she's doing, because you know what, she put up some of the prize money. Both her and David, they were sponsors for the Triple O. I sponsored the couple of jackets for that show, and I wish I could do more. I mean, I would love to do a little more, but I live on a budget and they got stretch dollars. But what she's doing, always got to point out my friend Eunice, what she's doing and put up a fight. One thing she says that to order to get have some skin in the game at these shows, you have to put down at least $10,000 to be serious, taken seriously as a sponsor or promoter to sponsor a show. Because that's covering the I think it was the sanctions fees, the prize money. Sarah, what she was doing for a long time for the Texas Pro, put up $20,000, or was it $15,000 to cover the cost of the prize money. That was just for the winner, and then the other prize money, was from the promoter. And that's what it is. So like this. That's why I say, people, go to my friend Eunice's site, Bad Rap. And if you want to, help promote them, buy. If you like I said, I can't buy a shirt because I'm a fat guy in a little coat, but I do wear I'm in my prime on that holiday. Yeah, but go to their buy products, ladies. Socks, so I did, and also they help sponsor athletes. This is I remember doing a little session we had the last time we had Jeremy on, and he points them out. I was like going through some videos. I found it was from our last live a while back, and we talked about and this is why I love Jeremy. I call him my brother, and as long as you don't put your hand on my girls, Jeremy, I love you. But he really, this is why I always appreciate when he comes through, because his knowledge and understanding about bodybuilding. Jeremy, I love you, but he's really on his game. So this is a video I took from one of you to cut it. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it up. And he really gives a good point, because this is why, we want him to get back on board again. Whenever his situation gets settled, we'd love to see him do some interviews, ladies. Reach out to him if you want to set up interviews, or just, we need to get him out there, because we need more like me, him, David, guys like KL, guys like the Female Bodybuilding Channel, guys like Claudio and Hardcore, female bodybuilding fan. We need more of us out here to talk about stuff like this. those guys might talk about particularly more about this, but this is the in-depth stuff. We need people like myself and Jeremy and also David to really get to depth stuff. So here's this. I'm gonna pull it up.
Like majority of times, like this is supervisor at work. We talk about a little bit on. Hello.
We just lost it.
Oh.
Hello.
I think something happened to his Probably he gotta come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
still
think he
here.
does. Yeah.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear everybody. The problem is we can't see anybody. So maybe
Yeah.
he got cut off for some reason. Maybe he'll be
Yeah.
back in a second. But
Hey, Abby,
sorry, go ahead.
I was curious
Go
what
ahead.
Abby thinks about collective bargaining for women.
Here you go. I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
You know,
You're
I
up
just
for
popped
this.
back. I'm back in. But folks, I'm going to pull up the video that I had. Give me a second,
Okay.
because I had a little situation. I don't know what's going on. Here we go. If I can get it up. Okay, Alex is back. Where's Alex? I had a little technical difficulties. Maybe I'm running too many apps at one
there we
time.
go.
Yeah,
There we
can
go.
you
Yeah, here we go.
guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Give me a second. Let me see if I can pull it back up again because I have a little technical difficulties.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too. Give me a second. Let's see. It's here. Okay, here we go. Should be right here. Yeah, I'll play it for y'all.
It's not easy to raise the 15 grand, and you need to be able to do a competition prep for this or pretty much any division on the professional level. And that's just what kills me, is because they call themselves a professional league. This is the only professional league, quote unquote, that I know of in which you can't make a profession off of competing. The overwhelming majority of the competitors don't make anything. I mean, most other professional leagues, professional, AKA earn a living, making a profession off of this. The overwhelming majority of competitors, men and women alike, make absolutely nothing. The one and only way that you get actual money from this is to place in a placing where you can actually get some prize money to get some return on your investment. The overwhelming majority get nothing. So they're paying all this money, but they're not getting any return on investment. It's the only professional league I know of that does this. Every other one that I know of pays a base salary for its competitive, pays so that they can in fact compete. So it's like I hear the women in the WNBA and I hear the women in women's pro soccer complaining about the salaries that they're making, and I'm like, ladies, you're making a salary. You get paid in dollars and cents. In women's bodybuilding or in the women's division, period, you're paid in jack and squat. That's what you get. So it's like, I'm sorry that so few turned out, but it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to come up with $15,000 every year, which you fully well know is gone, that you're not going to see any return on investment for. So I'm sorry, I'm not surprised that when the Rising Phoenix, when they not only took away the world championship aspect of it, but they also got rid of the prize money. Is it any wonder that only 5 women showed up last year? As opposed to what, the 15, 16 that were showing up when it started and also continued on until they decided to get rid of that? I mean, and then they also say, oh, but why do so many women go to OnlyFans? Or why do so many women go to webcamming? Or why do so many women even do live sessions to this day? It's like, why do you think? For a lot of them, this is the way they're getting their money to be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, he made a good, strong point about that, because some women do that. They do, as I call them, that's what I call them, the beat the meat websites. That's what they are. Guys go on there because, hey, you got nothing to do. Like chilling. And
Yeah, I'm not somebody. No.
Go ahead.
I met somebody last week, and they was a professional bodybuilder. They retired, and they was telling me that you know they stopped doing it because they was into the session thing, and they wasn't getting paid enough in bodybuilding, and so what I was about to say, I'm trying to get everything together, but I hate that shit. But but damn, I was trying to say, but they was getting paid, but it just my mind just slipped out. But she was telling me how she didn't. Yeah, this is what I wanted to say. The IFBB, they make these rules for these women, you know, not to do these things, but they don't really pay them, you know, and
Right,
that's why
exactly.
they tend to do, make a living of doing sessions and OnlyFans and all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It just slipped out of my mind, but yeah, they're not really paying them like that. But they have all these guidelines and rules and telling them what they should do and what they shouldn't do. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah,
I
and
don't
it's like,
remember what.
how do you get the money? How do they get the money? Because it's like all the pro shows, the women hustle, all of them. All women, maybe not everybody is doing it, but guarantee you that there are women who go to shows not necessarily to compete, but that's where they do their stuff. That's where they do live sessions. When I was going to the Arnold Classic, Jen Scarpetta, who won the Toronto Pro, I'm trying to remember what year it was in women's bodybuilding, and we had talked with each other. I was Mr. Anti-Schmodem at the time, and I was like trying to get her off of doing sessions. And it's like, look at all these women who are out here on the expo floor. I mean, they're making money. Why go and do something like sessions? Why not do something like that instead of sessions? And she looked at me like I was from Mars, said, Jeremy, why would I go and do something that I'm paid $200, $300 for the entire weekend? With just the other day doing sessions, I cleared $4,000, 4,000 cash on the barrelhead. And that's just like one example. I mean, that's why women turn to this stuff. It's lucrative. I mean, depending on who you are, it's like now with the internet now and with OnlyFans, I don't think it probably happens as much, but still, I mean, you go to these shows, the women are there and that's what they're doing. A lot of them are doing. Not everybody, of course, but quite a few are.
I think
And you
that's
have
gonna bite them in the ass a little bit, because in the term of people taking them seriously, of looking at them like athletes. That's just me,
You're right.
Then they complain about guys doing dick pics and all that stuff, and or looking at them in a way or doing some creepy stuff. They're not gonna like look at them like if it was like a Serena Williams or something like that, or they just gonna look at them as a fetish. A lot of times, for me, it drew me closer because I didn't always look at them as an athlete. I looked at them a little bit more as a fetish than athlete. The fetish was up like this high, and the athlete maybe smaller. So I mean that can really. I mean, I understand why they do it, but at the same time is. Even if they wasn't bodybuilders, even if they was, it still would bite them in the rear end. It's going to affect them.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
When I sorry, just say one thing real quick. It's just that exactly is what happens, Kay, in the mainstream national media. Every single time that I've seen somebody doing a segment on female bodybuilding in the mainstream national media, the big places, it is the same narrative every time, and it is the same three subjects: psychology, steroids, and sessions. They are always brought up. So when people go away from hearing this segment about bodybuilding, that's what they hear about it. That these women either are all suffering from serious psychological problems that compel them to do this, or all of them, regardless of who you are, even the women's apparently unnatural shows are all on steroids, but it also gives the impression these women are all doing sessions. And that's what people take away from it. So you're absolutely right, Kay. The problem is and that really does come to bite them in the ass. I mean, not just because the mainstream national media does it, but the fact that so many women do in fact do it.
Like, well, good example like this, Andrew Yo, she does it, and that's why I think one reason why she doesn't place as well. Some say she has a better physique than Andrea, but then she's not as even in the bottom half of her. Some like this one example, Lola Montez. Some feel like she should have been. To me, honestly, I think she should have been the figure Olympian champion over Rhea Gale. She's a great look, very attractive, but because she does, exclusive herself, and the NPC IVB is a brand, and they want to protect their brand. But here's the thing: is a company like OnlyFans has been around for a long time. They promote fighters. There's fighters who do OnlyFans. I know some ladies who have done it in the past because it's a way to make money. And if you want them not to do this, well, give them some kind of stipend, give them some kind of financial assistance, something that where they don't have to do it, where they don't, because like this, it's like anything. Like this, even in the stripping and sex game, the guys still make more money than the women because there's a bigger fetish for because go back to the guys talking about doing posing for gay dudes. I'm like this. I'm like, hey, it may not be the 80s, but I'm looking at Abby. I'm down with the ladies. So and I know we had this interview with Lady Arwen. She said that she'll go either way because she's gay, but she will go straight for pay because the fact is, it's a way to make money. There's guys out there who would like to be with a woman with big muscles sexually, or just they do something really freaky and weird. We go back to that situation like Keith tell me. I always watch that Keith. The Kai Green thing. What he did years ago, the grapefruit, and I pointed out, said that's not. It is because you we're not going to like to see a guy poking a grapefruit. Who's that for? A particular group of men who like that. Or he told me about Jay Cutler, how he would take some of his old clothes. There are a lot of porn stars used to do that. They used to sell their old panties and their old bras and stuff to guys. They buy it because guys are into that stuff. It's something like that to be fetishized. This is where if you want to keep this from happening, what you need to do. Put in some kind of stipend. Also, the prize money, not just the prize money, when you pay that sanction fee to compete, because Abby has to, when she ever think about making her pro debut, she has to, pay to keep up her pro card status. So I'm asking them, where's that money going to? You have all these new, just saw a young lady, her name is, I think her name is Renice Harding, just got a pro card at the Pittsburgh Pro for natural bodybuilding. Impressive young lady. She has a great potential to do well in the sport. She actually did a couple of shows and she did pretty good. Now she's a pro, so she could have. I don't know if she wanted to do it, but she could have done that. She could have paid. Because I remember a couple of ladies did this when they get that pro card at the show, which is a pro qualifier. They can do the show the next day that is a pro show. And I got to pay another $300 to get your pro card right then and there. They did that with shows like the Miss International at the Chicago Pro when you have women's bodybuilding. But now this year you're not gonna have women's bodybuilding, but they could do it, and they could do women's physique if they want. If they get a pro card, hey, you want to take on stage, you want to compete. Hey, they don't matter. Hey, it doesn't tell you what division you're doing. It's a pro card. There are so many ways that could do this, but again, it's about keeping the money in their pockets, but not putting towards their athletes. While I'm talking this also, this news we saw, especially with women's bodybuilding, we lost a couple of shows. Not going to be Chicago, got kicked out of New York, lost the Grand Prix show. Another promoter stepped up, and this is from Far Labs Mexico, and Mexico is having next year women's bodybuilding. And this is something great because the show just started last year. And I interviewed Miss Keo Larson, who got a pro card at North America's, and she made her pro debut at the World Championships. She's from Mexico. She's also did this show. And this is great. If anybody who's a competitor, this is a site, and they already made the announcement. See, so this is some big news. So
Yeah, that's excellent.
yeah, because women's bodybuilding, we lost a few shows this year. This is for qualification for next year's Olympia for 2027. So man, David just left, so David had to leave. So see David later. Appreciate David for coming through. So this is a big thing. Here, thing is also, you got to remember, folks, the American dollar is higher in Mexico than it is here in any other country. So, and also they do a show in Brazil, and also the American dollar is more than the real. I remember a lady I interviewed a while back, Mandy Polk. She's a former IFB Pro Fitness competitor and an MMA fighter, and she went down to Brazil to help train another fighter. And she was going through stuff. I said, you know what? If you need to, I'll send you a few bucks. I sent her about, I think was $20 through PayPal, and she got it. And what happens, because the Rios is lower than the American dollar, that $20 went to 100. So if you are a competitor and the US dollar is higher than the Mexico peso. Now getting there is going to be probably expensive. You're going to fly down there, but once you get there, it's your American dollars are going to stretch a lot farther. So if you got $1,000, ladies, you go to Mexico and Brazil, that money is going to triple and double.
David asks a really good question here. He had to run out, but he wants to know what Abby thinks about unionizing the ladies in collective bargaining to see whether or not things can be improved. Do you think that would work, Abby?
Does what work? Sorry.
You said unionizing and collective bargaining. Like you come to unions and try to bargain for about salary or pay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I think that would work. I can hear you.
Okay. She's busy. She's on treadmill. She's getting ready. We got here from man No Dose coming through. He says hi to everyone. Hi to you, brother. He's from Croatia. Shout out to man David. He was, appreciate him coming through. I know he's a busy man, and and I hope he's also, David is planning on going to the Optima next week. That's one of the last shows for this month. There's no shows this week because we just had the Pittsburgh Pro, and that's where we go back to the promoters. They talk about the big problem with, especially for sponsor division, is getting sponsorship and money. But what costs are they? Do they have to, when they reach out for sanctions, do they have to put up some kind of cost assessment to the IFBB or an NPC when they do a show? Because with the amateurs, they have to pay to compete. Other than getting the NPC card, then doing maybe one or two divisions or classes, and and also to still have the expenses. Like Abby, when your last show, what was your biggest expense when you competed?
Definitely the hair and makeup. That was like $550.
And that's like $5.50 hair and makeup. Well, with us guys like me, for my last haircut was like $35. I just just that was it. It just shaved my head. But women, y'all have more hair.
20 for me.
How much?
$21.
Oh, yeah. Who's your barber? I want to, did he black hair? Yeah. What about you, kid? When was your last haircut?
Like 30, sometimes 40.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 places like those.
Yeah, because men we don't need it much, because we're like the fashion industry. It really